So, at the end of the last stream was that meeting with the other girls, where they wore the white hoods and everything. Still, honestly, somewhat impressed that that stayed in the censored version of the game. You'll have to go see my last live stream on Fruit of Grisaia to know what I'm talking about. I think a single pastry is more than enough of a snack, unless you want Amane bawling you out when you can't eat dinner. In the first place, I'm not too enthusiastic about the whole snacking concept. Eating outside your scheduled mealtimes throws off your body's rhythms and can contribute to deterioration in overall physical condition. If at all possible, I'd like to teach the girl not to indulge herself, except as an occasional reward. Also, if you eat too many of those things, that round little face of yours is going to end up getting even more circular. Oh, it just looks roundish, you know? It ain't really that round. I reach out and pinch Makina's puffy little cheeks between my fingers. Her skin's smooth, but sticks tenaciously to my fingers, almost like an infant's. You can tell just from squeezing her face that the girl's properly nourished. No doubt thanks to Amane's thorough nutritional management. Well, the girl's not a fighter pilot or anything, so I suppose putting on a few extra pounds won't pose any real problems. Even Otter... A what? Her cheeks still punched between my fingers, Makina mumbles some variety of question. I tilt my head in puzzlement. Yeah, me too. Something about a 22 gauge riot? Never heard of a crowd control shotgun with such a strange barrel size. Some new Western model? Do you hate chubby girls, Papa? Maybe you ought to try that trendy two-stage diet everyone's been talking about? What, a diet? Well, there's no need to force yourself to lose weight, unless it's posing some inconvenience or health risk. It's cute, whatever it is. But the way my belly bumps out a little is starting to bug me. You're all flat because you haven't developed your abdominal muscles. Want to try some simple training with me starting tomorrow? Oh, that's a cool idea! What a nice thought. Would you perhaps allow me to participate as well? Oh, Sachin? Welcome back, Master and Young Miss. Holding her bamboo broom at one side, Sachi bows reverently. Master? Yes, I'm your daughter's servant after all. Oh, we're still doing that, are we? Yeah, Sachin, I've returned! Welcome back, young miss. Shall it be a bath? Your dinner? Or perhaps my body? Your body? Wench! Surely you jest! You two sure get along. Sachi and Makina have always been friendly, of course. But for some reason, something seems a little off today. Can't quite put my thumb on it, but Sachi seems oddly tentative almost. They're squawking and messing around like always, but somehow Sachi's treating Makina a little more gingerly than usual. It feels a little artificial somehow, like I'm watching a play. Hehe, don't play hard to get, you little strumpet. Huh? What? Maki-chan? You're really taking off... What? My underwear? Don't pull on my underwear, it's going to come off! You're a good girl, aren't you, Sachin? Don't struggle, little, I'll be over soon enough! Just lie back and think of England! It's fine, right? I'll keep your cute little baby in clothing. Maybe I'll leave this out of the school. Well, it could be worse. She could be telling you to lie back and think of China. That's far enough, old man. Owie! Hey, that really hurt! Well, I figured I needed to stage an intervention before you did something you'd live to regret. And you, Sachi, how about fighting back a little? Look, your underwear's off. I'm sorry for making such a disgraceful spectacle of myself. Well, it doesn't look like it's off. He totally saw him! I'm not embarrassed in the slightest, it's true. Absolutely true, this doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I'm perfectly willing to set aside some time at a later date for a thorough private viewing if you'd like. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll have to pass. Same as it ever was, huh? Was it just my imagination after all? Or so I thought, but now it's Michiru's turn. Hey, Makina, here you can borrow that manga you wanted to read. Oh, seriously? Thank you kindly, Diedrich. Who's Diedrich supposed to be? Whatever, don't go eating candy while you read it and get it all sticky, you got that? Thanks, don't worry, I'll read it right away. Good as her word, Makina drops herself right down into the lobby sofa and begins flipping through the manga, swinging her slippers loosely back and forth from the tips of her toes. You need something? Okay, look. I loaned your daughter my manga, right? Don't you have anything to say to me? Oh, sure. Thanks. Wait, thanks? That's it? What else do you want me to do? If you want to stroke my head, I'll allow it, alright? What? Don't get me wrong, though. It's not like I lent her the manga because I wanted you to pet me or anything. Don't quite follow the logic there, but I think I get the general idea. When I casually reach out towards Michiru's head, the girl twitches like a startled rabbit and quickly takes a defensive posture. What kind of incoherent thought process leads you to ask for a pat on the head, then try to ward it off? Ignoring Michiru's tense body language, I grab hold of her cranium like an NBA player seizing a ball, then proceed to roughly scratch my fingers through her hair. Appreciate it, Michiru. Yeah. It's not like this is the first time Michiru's acted strangely. But once again, I felt something slightly off about her behavior this evening, and it's not just Sachi and Michiru. Normally, Sakaki excuses herself post-haste the instant Makina's in the vicinity. Makina. But for some reason, she's staying put today. Sakaki, my friend, why are you here? You do say some strange things at times. Is it that unusual for me to be reading a book in the lobby? No, not really, but normally you'd flee once Makina arrives. I do not flee. I simply excuse myself when it gets too noisy to read in peace, and also... The girl sitting quietly on the sofa, knees folded in front of her, restlessly moving her eyes right and left across Michiru's manga. Even Irisu sounds harmless enough when she's reading. All done! That was fast. Hey, Chiru, where's the next volume? Michiru's not around anymore. I gave her a little pat on the head, after which she squeaked bye-bye and ran off at a sprint for some unknown reason. Probably back in her room, I guess? That wasn't nearly enough reading material. First the taiyaki, now this? What an ultra unsatisfying day. I suppose there's nothing for it. Here, you can read this. Oh, what's this? BL again? What do you mean, again? It's not as if I'm always reading BL. So what is it then? One of the wish fulfillment suckers where your vaguely frumpy heroine suddenly gets super popular with tons of hotties for no apparent reason? Yes, that's what I got today. And if you don't like it, you don't have to read it. I'll totally read it! Let me have this mysterious tale of a mediocre maiden who only needs to sit back and relax to get dozens of sexy guys falling in her lap. I can't say I'm entirely satisfied with the way you phrased that request, but... Fine. I'll let you borrow it. Can you try to read it quietly, please? Yes! Hey, Sakaki, tell me something. Yes? What is this BL of which you speak? Well, it's short for... Bo? Just shut up, will you? People are trying to read. Huh? Wait, what did I do this time? Okay, so BL books are stimulating stories of young men making out with each other. Ho ho! You didn't have to explain that. Yumi-chan's always got something interesting to read, you know? That dog book I borrowed the other day was pretty cool, too. A dog book? Like a photo collection of puppies or something? Nuh-uh, that ain't it. It was a novel written from the doggy's point of view. Poor guy got deliberately starved as a puppy so they could turn him into a war dog. The ending was pretty dang touching, you know? Oh. Like Makina says, Sakaki's taste in literature is more broad than you might think. Even now, I'm still surprised by the stuff I find picking through her leftovers. But at any rate, they do say military dogs have to be constantly starving for something. Can't be relied on otherwise. Guess what, though? The war doggy retires from the army with lots of medals, gets taken in by a normal family, and ends up protecting their little girl by sacrificing his life. Excuse me, spoiling a book is very bad manners, you know? Ah, right. Sorry about that. Jeez, just sit there quietly and read, alright? Yes! Honestly. I'm a little surprised. By what? Seeing I have a halfway normal conversation with Makina. It's not as though our interactions consist solely of me being harassed, you know? I can give as well as I get. Also, I don't dislike Yorisu-san half as much as you seem to think. I see. Well, not that I'm denying I have a difficult time dealing with her. Sounds complicated. Seriously though, what's going on here? I have the distinct feeling last one of our classmates are being strangely kind to Makina today. Huh. I done eaten all that I could eat. My stomach's full to the brim. You really gobbled that down. Did you even chew before you swallowed? And you're not actually done yet now, are you? Clean your plate, Makina. What? But my tummy's bursting at the seams. Behold this tummy. Oh, it's bulging. I know, right? If I eat anymore, I'm gonna get super popular with the chubby chasing community. Guess there's nothing for it. This is your fault, Yuji. You shouldn't have let her snack too much between meals like that. Yeah, my bad. Well, it's no big deal. Makina, go ahead and get in the bath. Yes, Papa, come in with me and wash my hair. What? You think Yuji's going to barge in during the ladies' bathing time? I'll come wash your head once I put away the dishes, so just run along and wait patiently. Yes. And don't bring in any toys out in your duck. Honestly, look at all this. What a waste. With a single remorseful sigh, Amane begins to tidy up the tableware in a vaguely motherly manner. Every few seconds, she absentmindedly grabs a little of Makina's leftover food and tosses it in her mouth. Now I get it. Get what? That oversized body of yours. Makina's leftovers are clearly to blame. Huh? What? Was I seriously eating just now? Completely unconscious, huh? No wonder you ended up that way. Well, I just really have a hard time letting food go to waste, I guess. Oh, CD20, hi there. Nothing to be ashamed of, but given that, you sure let Makina off the hook awfully easy today. Normally, Amane'd force the girl to finish her food even if it meant enduring hours of begging and whining. For some reason, every last one of you people seems to have gone soft on Makina today. Did something happen while we weren't around? Figures. Most of our girls are pretty clumsy about this sort of thing, aren't they? Anyway, it's not like anything happened, but, well, no, I guess something sorta did? After school today, we had a group meeting to register our opinions on your new relationship with Makina. So that's why it all vanished so abruptly? Well, yep. We more or less decided it was okay with us. That more or less part bothers me a little, but everyone approved? Yeah. Honestly, I don't think they had any real reservations in the first place. It's just that nobody here's got much experience with this sort of thing, so they didn't quite know how to deal with it. In any case, nobody wanted to actually interfere. No kidding. That's something to be grateful for. I mean, you decided to do everything you can for Makina's sake, right? Nobody's going to get in the way. I see. Once a man sets his mind on something, he better stick to his guns. Understand, mister? I'll bear that in mind. With that, the conversation ceases, and I simply watch Amane from behind as she quietly cleans the dishes. From far away, there's the piercing sound of a siren. Instantly, beads of cold sweat form on my brow. With an odd sense of detachment, I find myself reflecting on my newfound devotion to something other than the national interest. A dog raised for his country, trying to accomplish something of its own free will? Hard to imagine that can account to anything much, but I suppose it has to be more meaningful than getting some cheap metal pinned on your collar. For some reason, the burning wave of nausea seems to recede a little more easily than usual. In all things, the fundamentals are what matter most. Followed closely by experience, or so my master used to tell me. When the shit really hits the fan and you're lying face down in the mud about ready to just give up. Your fundamental physical strength and the mental toughness you've gained on the battlefield are what allow you to pull yourself up again and keep struggling forward. I guess her way of thinking must have rubbed off on me at some point. At the time, I absolutely hated that brutal exercise routine she imposed on me, but now I feel downright uneasy if I miss even a single day. Kazami-san! Please wait! Hearing a vaguely dopey cry of distress from behind, I slow to a halt and look back down the road. Sachi's jogging sluggishly towards me with one arm around Makina's shoulder, practically dragging the girl along. Finally. Caught up. In between gasps of breath, the maid morosely mumbles, although we're 3 laps behind. Meanwhile, Makina collapses to her hands and knees, whimpering pitifully. I'm gonna be sick. Running first thing in the morning. It's really friggin' rough. My sides are screaming. Clutching her twitching stomach and moaning like an out-of-tune trombone, Makina stares up at me with eyes full of bitter reproach. But she's the one who declared a war on blubber and demanded to tag along with my running from now on. Don't see how she has anyone but herself to blame. Going straight to 5 kilometers was clearly a bit too much. Was it? As someone who runs a full 16 kilometers every single morning, 5 seemed like a pretty generous concession on my part. Hell, 13 was even tougher back in my old school. We'd all get drummed out of bed at 6 in the morning and gather in front of the dorm for roll call, followed by a sprint to the warehouse to receive a 3.5 kilogram weight, which we would proceed to lug around for the duration of a mandatory 16-kilometer run. And when, eager to ditch our aggravating burdens, we finally caught sight of the exercise ground designated as our goal, the relief would often last only for a moment. When the squad leader was in a bad mood, he'd instantly bellow out, "Right face!" to send us running back to the dorm, still carrying the damn weights. More often than not, there'd be another right face waiting for us when we got there. On top of all that, every time we randomly blew a shrill little whistle, we were expected to break into an all-out sprint, so it was near impossible to pace ourselves. On the other hand, I guess that's not really a reasonable standard of comparison. I'm sorry? It's nothing. You're right, let's focus on getting you two able to run a single decent lap across the school. It's only 3.2 kilometers or so. Indeed, that sounds like a more realistic goal. Oh, I'll work my butt off for my dream of a perfect Amani-style body. Well, I'd have a hard time calling Amani perfect in terms of body fat percentage, but whatever. For starters, how about wearing some vaguely appropriate clothing? You could have at least thrown on sneakers and a sweatshirt or something. But you said we were gonna take it easy, Papa. Even so, casual clothes and boots aren't exercise gear, on top of which you haven't shined those boots lately, have you? I should be able to see my face in those things. If this was my old school, you'd be doing 200 push-ups right about now. Well, that's because Amane-san thought they looked cooler when they're a little beaten up and purposely didn't clean them. Not they're any better. Still in a maid uniform as always. Indeed, a specialized exercise maid uniform, to be specific. They're constructed entirely from Ultra Dry Max, the patented super quick drying fabric. By encouraging rapid evaporation of sweat, rapid rises in body temperature are quickly alleviated. The design concept was cooler than naked, apparently. Tell me something, Sachi. Just how many different maid uniforms do you own? Let's see. Here's my intermediate for everyday use, the active for exercise, the tropical for summer outings, the heavy zone cold weather model, the assault for counterinsurgency operations, the all-white medic for nursing duties, and the conservative for use in ceremonial occasions and funeral rites. In total, 7 different varieties. Wait, what was that? Counterinsurgency? Yes, it seems to have been sewn through strengthened aramid fiber. And although I haven't put that matter to the test, my model can apparently stop bullets up to 9mm without difficulty. It has also been strengthened significantly against bladed weapons, formerly considered something of a weak point of the design. What kind of a battle maid would even need a uniform like that? I mean, where did you even buy that thing? I had a custom made for her, you know? Why? Well, I had initially attempted to purchase a stock of uniforms via the internet, but there was such a wide range of variation in the prices. Some were as cheap as 10,000 yen, others nearly 200,000. Right. When you're confused and don't know what to buy, just go for the most expensive one you can find, right? That's how it is. First, we tried hitting up some suppliers that Yumi-chan's family uses for their stuff, but what was it again? The housekeepers employed by Sakaki-san's family eschewed the classic maid design in favor of an outfit more resembling a cafe waitress's uniform. And unfortunately, the supplier informed us he had no prior experience making maid uniforms. So out of the goodness of my heart, I got this manufacturer my family knows to make her a full set. However, the manufacturer in question happened to specialize in flight jackets, precision wristwatches, and similar military-oriented apparel. So all of a sudden you end up with a bunch of mil-spec maid uniforms, huh? Now you got the idea. But hey, that assault sucker comes as a set with a gas mask that'll get you through a bioterror attack in one piece. Hell of a bonus, right? And when is she going to use that exactly? It's come in handy when duty calls me to clean toilets with air pollution exceeding contamination level 8. A gas mask, eh? I remember getting drilled on putting those things on quickly back on my old school. Guess it was back in middle school when they started that. I remember clumsily pulling an M40 over my face and being forced to run a marathon with it on. Pretty rough even by their standards. Even after returning to Japan, I trained numerous times with a Model 4 protective mask. Usually this involved rushing into a tent full of insecticide fumes. The instructor would bellow, "Situation, gas," as we fumbled to get the masks out of our waist pouches and onto our faces in 8 seconds or less. Not the most exciting training, but simple skills like that can easily make the difference between life and death in the field. After ejecting the gas inside the mask and confirming an airtight seal, we'd pair off with our buddy and make sure theirs was really on properly. At this point, it's kind of a fond memory. I'm aware it's extremely rude of me, but might I ask you a personal question? Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised too, now that I think about it. What do you want to know? It's about the school you were enrolled in previously, Kazami-san. What kind of a place was it exactly? I've been wondering about that myself, you know. What kind of a place? Kind of a tricky question, but let's see. I put a hand on my chin and considered the matter, turning my eyes away from Sachi's curious gaze. I was what they call a self-supporting student. I was always working at a middle school age, but since I was still in the compulsory education period, my employer was kind enough to send me to school at night. That employer I mentioned was an international enterprise with its headquarters in the States, so naturally the school they paid for me to attend was American as well. I spent the first half of junior high in San Diego, California. Then for the latter half I was moved to Quantico, Virginia. When they finally decided to ship me back to the Japanese branch, I ended up getting transferred to yet another school over here. Hell of a transition, actually. Nothing at all like how things were in America. Less of a pain in the ass, in that people weren't inviting me to barbecues every weekend, but you could really see the difference in how seriously the students approached it. How'd they differ specifically? Not easy to explain, but maybe this will give you the general idea. In America, the whole point was training us to be useful in the field, where Japan was all about training us to pass the tests. Basically, in Japan, the inspections were the only thing anybody cared about. Inspections? There was something like a test. If it wasn't on the test, they didn't really give a damn. They gave us a little hands-on experience, but rarely bothered to explain what we're supposed to be learning. At worst, they taught us outright nonsense. About the only things that America and Japan had in common were the crew cuts and the shitty food. That's it. What can I say? Thank you for your service. Well, it's not like I was actually in the service or anything. But it wasn't a normal school, right? I've been feeling a little unsure about our point of reference in that area for a while now. Mind if I ask you two something as well? By all means. Is this Mihama Academy of ours a normal school? Way to ask a really awkward question, Papa. Well, if the question seems awkward, I guess the answer is clear enough. I'm not sure this is the best way to put it, but I think the fact we can all attend Mihama Academy normally makes it a rather abnormal school. School can't exactly be normal when all the kids in it ain't. So you're actually aware you're not normal, huh? Well, duh. I mean, you wouldn't have become my papa if I were, right? Guess you might be right about that. It's largely because of Makina's overwhelming this kid's hopeless aura that it developed my initial interest in her. The more we talked, the more I realized just how badly she needed someone to set her straight. And in time, her sheer cheerful obliviousness inspired an uneasy variety of protective feelings. What's this girl going to do without me around? Didn't exactly have myself down as the nurturing type. But maybe the way I've had defending the nation beaten into my bones is part of the reason I felt the need to protect this carefree, airheaded creature. But that doesn't mean you can just sit back and rely on me. True safety is only possible through accurate situational awareness, moderate caution, and readiness to defend yourself when push comes to shove. Sure, plenty of people sit back and take the protection of others for granted. Easy enough to become a spectator to your own life, throwing tomatoes and booing when things go wrong. but we're going to take a different approach. While protecting you, I'll shape you into a woman with the skill and confidence to solve even the most difficult problems on your own. What? No whining. If you want to call yourself my daughter, then you're going to become the best of the best. Bear in mind that your failure is my shame. Do I make myself clear? If you understand, then respond. Ah! Alright then, let's start with 30 sit-ups. Ranger Makina. You're Ranger Irisu's buddy. A sister. Oh. Getting ready to do sit-ups, I see. Her eyes burning with determination. The girl links her hands behind her head and attempts her first sit-up, but... Despite several seconds of intense effort, she only succeeds in wriggling around on the ground impotently. Eventually, the girl releases her head and reaches both trembling arms straight out towards Sachi, but this too proves ineffective at getting her upper body off the ground. Come on, Maki-chan! You haven't even managed one yet! Yawn! Neon! What's all this, then? Were my instructions unclear? I didn't tell you to practice your telekinesis, did I? Let's see a damn sit-up already. Show me what you've got. She hasn't moved a single millimeter, has she? And I believe she just said blega. Don't really care about that, but Makina, you can't even manage a single sit-up? Guess I shouldn't be surprised, but seriously. This is just how modern kids are, you know? That really how it is? For the record, sir, I can manage a sit-up or two. In that case, let's have you show us how it's done. Makina, switch places with Sachi. Yes. After a little more squirming around, Makina pushes herself up off the ground and switches places with Sachi. How many do you want, sir? How about 30 for starters? Shout hurrah from the pit of your stomach on the way up. Help focus your body on working the abdominal muscles. Yes, sir. Here goes. Ninja! 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 Oh. Sachi repeats her setups with a remarkably regular rhythm of a wind-up toy. It'd be insulting to even compare this effort to Makina's, but even by more general standards, it's quite the respectable pace for a young woman. Keep this up for about 300 reps and she'd be right up there with your average WAC girl. But my admiration proves short-lived. After passing 20, Sachi's pace begins to slow precipitously. Ninja! What's wrong? We're not on momentum already? Some maid you are. Is that all your devotion to your master amounts to? Don't disillusion me. Show some guts, damn it. Guts! As my abuse rains down from above, Sachi bites her lower lip fiercely. What the fuck? You're a Jap yourself, you know. Also, Amani's the only bitch we got around here. Okay, that does it. Go have Amani give you a nice hard punch. On the double. Huh? Why? Is this girl under the impression that the term bitch means something along the lines of sexy and cool? 30. I'm done. Ninja! Alright, not exactly earning your salary, but a respectable effort. At the very least, it's 30 better than a certain doughy little pastry face managed. Oh, that's harsh! Why are you laughing? You do understand I'm talking about you, right? I knew that most of our students were indoor types, but to be honest, I hadn't imagined things would be quite this awful. Not that I'm planning to start running my mouth about how soft kids are these days, especially considering I'm still in that category myself, but... Maki-chan did spend a very long time in the hospital. Perhaps it would be best to initially focus on regaining an average level of physical endurance? You have a point. In that case, I guess strengthening the cardiovascular system comes first. Yes, I can do that! People are always telling me I'm strong-hearted, you know? What other meaning does Fruta Grisaia have, perhaps? Like, how is that an innuendo? What's a Fruta Grisaia supposed to be, like, slang for? Well, anyway, let's go with some light cardio. No reason to stress those flimsy little joints. So I'm thinking biking would be the best choice. Of course, I don't plan to have the girl push herself up between two desks and pedal the empty air, so we're going to need an appropriate bike. If we need a bicycle, I have one handy. Is it small enough for Makina to use as well? Yes, that shouldn't be an issue. It's a mini velo model with very small wheels. A cute little folding bike. I'm certain it would very much suit Maki-chan. Ah, that thing comes as a set with the one maid uniform? A maid uniform and bike set? Indeed, apparently it can even be fixed in front of your harness for parachute drops. The manufacturer professes it to offer unmatched on-the-spot mobility for reconnaissance missions in enemy territory. Okay, is this designer a little off in the head or something? Just what kind of hellish environments are these maids supposed to be working in? Kasame-san, you're simply clinging to outdated prejudices. The age in which maids could get by as mere domestic helpers has long since passed. As far as I knew, we hadn't yet reached the age in which maids are expected to suppress insurgents or perform solo recon missions behind enemy lines. Did something happen to Japan while I was away? Well, whatever. In any case, Makina, let's get you started on some aerobic exercise with the bike. I've never rode a bike before. Say what? Like I said, I never even rode a bike. I had a driver in a car and all, so I didn't really need to, and nobody ever taught me in the first place. I see. But come to think of it, Makina's technically a little miss. Not really that surprising since she wasn't biking around all over the place. Guess we'll have to start with teaching her to ride then. As I massage the corners of my eyes, Makina thrusts her right hand into the air. Well, let's take it easy, alright? One step at a time. Yeah, there's not exactly any other choice. Once she masters the bicycle, will parachuting be next on the agenda? Somehow I don't think she'll be needing that particular skill. I don't know. I'm just trying to picture it right now, and I can't help but almost just completely laugh my ass off. I'm picturing it right now, and I'm just trying to keep it in, the laugh. Okay, I can't not laugh at the thought of that. Maid riding a bike off a cliff to use a parachute. I may have become Makina's father, but that doesn't mean much of anything has changed. The one noticeable difference is that she's now calling me Papa. A little embarrassing on the receiving end, but that's nothing new. Oni-chan felt just as ticklish. That same afternoon, JB gave me a call on my cell. It was a very brief conversation. Just told me she delivered all the material she could on Irisu Makina to the Academy Administration. In other words, if you want to know that badly, go ask Chizuru. Accordingly, I'm currently making my way to the principal's office. So, we're gonna ask some questions. Are we gonna get any answers or no? How long am I gonna be waiting for answers? Excuse me, but this isn't your girlfriend's apartment. Don't just barge in like you own the place. How many times do I have to tell you to knock before? What difference does it make? Hurry up and take a shower, I'll be waiting. Look, mister. Just a joke. You already know why I'm here, right? If you keep toying around with older women like that, one day you're going to get what's coming to you. Am I? Well, feel free to elaborate on this theory next time I take you out to dinner. As if you have the slightest intention of asking me to a meal. It was an indirect way of saying I don't want to hear it. Too subtle for you? You really are a hopelessly nasty young man. JB got in touch, didn't she? Let me see the documents about Makina. No way! That won't do. How can I get you to show them to me? Apologize for your constant rudeness and promise that you'll listen to what your teacher says from now on. Then I'll let you see them. That's an abuse of authority, Chizuru. Yes, indeed, that it is. And I don't even care. I'll use every card I've got. I've had it up to here. I see. Ends justify the means, eh? In that case, I guess I'll have to use every card I got as well. That alright with you? What are you planning to do? My master once beat a certain technique into me, a method guaranteed to make even the most stubborn woman spill her guts. It's a lengthy process and frankly something of a pain to execute, but it seems I have no choice. Wait a second, okay? Time out. I have a question. Go ahead. Is this method somehow related to Eros? Tricky question. Interpretations tend to vary fairly widely depending on personal proclivities. Come to think of it, back in the old days, I once made JB apologize to me in tears using the method in question. He's never mentioned it? I think I remember her saying, if that kid starts demanding crazy things in a sweet voice, run, don't walk, or something of the sort. Yeah, I can vouch for that, Bats. I can definitely vouch for that. Might be a little odd to say this myself, but that would probably be wise. If you're going to run, kick off those shoes first. With heels like those, I'll catch you so quickly it wouldn't even be any fun. You're not going to hurt me, right? Come on, do I look like such a cruel man? If anything, in a few hours you'll have a pleasant new perspective on the whole concept of pain. Nothing to worry about. For some reason, I only sent a whole new wave of worry creeping up my spine. On that note, Chizuru, I got some good news for you. For a limited time only, we happen to be offering a special sale. Fork over Makina's dossier, and all your worries will disappear. Pretty nice deal, right? Fine, fine. Have it your way. I'll get them out for you, so just be patient for a minute. That was quick. For a dossier, I'm afraid it's nothing that special. Irisu-san's family takes its privacy quite seriously. I myself learned most of what I know only from asking Harudera-san. As she speaks, Chizuru presses her thumb against the fingerprint scanner and unlocks a small safe inside their cabinet. And even she only had a limited amount of information. This is to be expected from a clan so deeply rooted in the shady side of the political world. Okay, this is everything. It can't leave this room, so read it here. Envelope has the words, removal strictly forbidden, scratched across the front in red pen. I'm not looking for intelligence on the Irisu clan, you know. I'm only interested in information on the individual, Makina. Well, learning about Irisu Makina means learning about the Irisu clan. After all, she was at the very heart of their domestic feud 8 years ago. Domestic feud? I'm not particularly knowledgeable about the details myself, and those documents are little more than a rough summary. But it seems there was what? F8 for history. Difference of opinion between the head of the family and Irisu-san's father. Are you serious about Irisu-san? What do you mean? You seem to have promised to become her father rather casually, but that's not going to be quite as simple as you think. I think I'm starting to understand that. I got a vague feeling it's going to be a more troublesome job than I expected. Even so, if Makina needs me, I want to do what I can for her. You might come to regret that, you know. I'm aware, but when and where it seems necessary, I take action first and sort out the pros and cons later. That's how dogs like us are trained. If you find someone who needs help in a place you're obligated to protect, just do what needs to be done. Simple as that. Did you pick up this blunt force approach to life from the Americans? How rude. I don't remember declaring I am justice incarnate. You shouldn't make Uncle Sam too angry, you know. He runs your parent company, remember? I hear that corporations where employees don't badmouth the higher-ups tend to go bankrupt in no time. You have a retort for everything, don't you? Just once, I'd like to see you at a loss for words. I picked up my sharp tongue from the Americans. Well, whatever, I'll put some coffee on, so take your time. Oh, so now we're going to be reading it, clearly. Just as Chizuru warned me, the documents inside of the envelope can't be called detailed by any stretch of the imagination. The reports mainly focus on the history of the Irisu family, tracing their consistently flourishing enterprises from the pre-war era to today, describing their clan structure, and naming the houses considered their closest allies. In particular, the careful analysis of the current major players throughout processes and religious ideologies. With an eye toward the risk they might pose to society, stands out as just the sort of meticulous work I'd expect from JB. Since the woman hates relying on personal impressions or speculation in the reports, it feels as though our less reliable rumors have been intentionally omitted. I don't know, maybe because they were in the principal's office? Well, the information that's here appears to be solid. I can't deny that there is very much of it. The direct, relevant material begins with a biography of Makina's grandfather, a former bureaucrat in the Ministry of Finance. Apparently, he was something of a social climber, joining the family by marrying the daughter of his superior. Makina's own father likewise married into the family and took their name, but the real power in the Irisu clan was in the hands of his wife and mother-in-law. And those women essentially the shadow leaders of the Irisu Enterprises, made use of their enormous influence to enrich their family through arrangements tinted in an extremely dark shade of gray. When Makina's father realized that he'd been an unwitting participant in large-scale corruption, he took the Irisu's secret account book and tried to come into contact with Naicho, but an unfortunate incident resulted in his death. Finishing the sentence as my voice trails off, Chizuru reaches out to offer me a steaming mug of coffee. The incident in question being the kidnapping of Mitsu Irisu Mataka's daughter, Irisu Makina. I see. Accepting the mug from Chizuru, I continue flipping through the documents. A group of criminals who kidnapped Makina off the street on her way back from a language class submitted a ransom demand directly to her father. Just as they instructed, Mr. Mazataka headed to the designated spot alone with the money, but was shot to death as they made the handoff. Ballistic investigation revealed that only the bullets were fired from an unregistered 9mm handgun. So even 8 years after the murder, no credible clues to their identity have been discovered. So he paid the ransom and then he died. Sounds like he really got fucking scammed. That's what I call a scam. Like, you hold up to your end of the bargain and then they just backstab you. Well, not literally, more like they just put a bullet to your head. Bullet to the head, getting stabbed in the back, where they hit your heart. Close enough. You're gonna die either way. Following the murder, Irisu Makina was eventually rescued from the scene after spending 6 days there? That's correct. Still tied up just as the criminals had left her. Irisu-san spent 6 full days in prison with her father's corpse. When found, she was naturally very near her physical limits, but also suffering from severe emotional trauma. So that's why she was hospitalized, and then disowned from the family. You could say that incident is the cause of the strange behavior you see in Irisu-san today. So the family arranges to kidnap their own daughter, murder her father right in front of her, leave her there for 6 days with the corpse of her father, then kick her out of the family. Am I reading this correctly? Am I reading this right? And before that, she was to be called a prodigy. Oh my fucking god. Am I reading this correctly? Like, how do you make up such a dark story? And there's gonna be 4 other super dark backstories from the other girls as well. But after the incident, it seems she spent 2 full years in a completely uncommunicative state. I don't know, maybe power grab or something? It took another year after that before she consistently answered yes or no questions. And 2 more before she could coherently put her thoughts into words. Yet another year passed before she once again became capable of expressing normal human emotions. In other words, it was only a few years ago that she gained the capacity for a normal conversation. I see. Showing the manila folder, I slip it back into the envelope and return it to Chizuru. I thought we were going to get a lot less information than that, quite frankly. I thought we were going to have to wait even longer to figure out all this right away. You don't want to see any more? What's that supposed to mean? Irisu-san's past does have some similarities to your own, doesn't it? I was wondering if you were recalling some painful memories. I'm sorry. Is that the reason you were so reluctant to show me this? I suppose. I didn't exactly want to make you remember a past like that. Denying the past doesn't change who you are today. And thanks to my master, I'm still standing. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask a strange question. When all's said and done, can you look back and say, I'm glad I survived? Well, I got myself through plenty of situations where death might have been the easier choice. Guess I've been trained well enough to treasure survival for its own sake. Also, I still haven't found the reason I was born, and I haven't even begun to repay the kindness of the woman who saved my life. And I doubt she'll want to just tell it to us directly. I doubt she'll want to recall that past to be able to tell us the story, so... We might be waiting on the rest of the story for a very long time, for all we know. I don't think Makina's gonna want to even think about that. Sorry for asking the unreasonable. I drained the coffee Chizuru brewed for me to the dregs in a single gulp, then placed the empty cup on her desk. Okay, I thought the main character in Doki Doki Literature Club had it bad when he was literally stuck in this classroom for an entire weekend watching Yuri's corpse decay after she just stabbed herself, and you could just only helplessly watch her stab herself. And then you just watched her corpse decay, her blood coagulate and turn black, over the course of a weekend, for whatever reason. You literally couldn't move. I'd rather just be forced to watch someone's corpse for 3 days than 6. Let me tell you that much. Like, fuck, I thought the MC in Doki Doki had it bad. I mean, that's already terrible enough. And then also, if you understand what Monica went through in Doki Doki as well. But that's pretty much a different story entirely. Kind of a shame, though. You went out of your way to show me the dossier, but there was only one piece of information in the whole thing beyond what I already expected. And what was that? I'm a little surprised that Makina has a little sister. I was positive that girl was an only child. They may be sisters, but it seems they have different fathers. How does this work? Well, before that, the idea of Makina as a big sister just seems wrong somehow. Just didn't sound like it was actually gonna work. After thanking the principal for the information and their coffee, I promptly leave the office. As I stroll slowly down the hallway toward our classroom, I reconsider the intelligence once more. And in the end, the information, directly concerning Makina herself, accounted for maybe a 15th of the total at best. In childhood, she was apparently so talented as to earn the label of prodigy. Hard to believe when looking at the airheaded doofus we know today. When you give the matter careful thought, some faint remnants of that brilliance have been in evidence every once in a while. From a very young age, Makina was raised reverently as a child genius, but most of her family was only really interested in converting that talent into hard cash. And they basically lost that talent completely. The greedy who want more lose all. In a house filled with people who viewed her as nothing more than a tool, Makina's one and only true ally was her father. Irisu Masataka was an up-and-coming future elite who'd earned superb grades at a top-flight national university, but unfortunately happened to suffer from a distinctly timid and unambitious personality, and ever since meeting Makina's mother in his school days, she'd apparently exercised an absolutely dominating influence over him. Given how faint of heart the man was by nature, it's easy to imagine how anguished and torn he must have been when he discovered his family's deep involvement in large-scale corruption. So, you're saying he might have been like the only decent person, the only halfway decent person in the family, and then it got completely fucked over for it? Oh, and Makina herself. So you're telling me Makina and her father were the only two halfway decent people in the family, and they suffered dearly for it. In the end, he must have decided to live honestly for Makina's sake, even if it meant betraying the rest of his new family. But that was a mistake. Far too many important people would have found themselves in a seriously disadvantageous position if the Irisu clan's records were to be made public. Most likely, the for-profit kidnapping was a ruse devised by his own family, using his daughter as bait, only to kill him in front of her eyes. A clueless bystander in all this. Makina was left tied up in her prison for 6 days with her father's rotting corpse. Hardly surprising that her mind would be deeply damaged. I can't speculate on why they chose to sacrifice the main family's eldest daughter, but after that incident, Makina was removed from her natural position as the future leader of the clan. On paper, she's undergoing continuing medical care for an undisclosed illness, but in reality, she's been effectively disowned. Her younger sister's been given her place as the family's heiress. Her beloved father, the only ally she had in the world, died before her eyes. And then she was thrown out of her house. Pretty shitty luck all around. That said, I'm not about to let myself pity the girl. To be perfectly honest, this all sounds like a massive pain in the ass. On a purely practical level, it would probably be the wisest not to get too deeply involved. But running away at this point would be far too irresponsible. Misfortune isn't so unusual. I had my share. The world's got quite a few people who didn't grow up under pleasant circumstances in it. But I was lucky enough to eventually meet my master. A person who decisively changed my life for the better. Her help became a huge turning point for me. If someone were to ask me how I'd feel about my life, I can probably answer I'm happy enough in all sincerity. Staying alive is a good thing in itself. As long as you keep going, someday you'll find happiness. Someday you'll become useful to someone. The day will come when you earn someone's gratitude. That's why I'm still going. I don't know why this just feels so relatable with cancel culture today. Like, picture this mob. Picture this outrage mob that has a set, pre-approved way of believing how the world should work, what you should believe, what you should not believe. And they want you to pretty much adhere exactly to their philosophy, and if you just so much as happen to even slightly suggest any sort of... what was the word I was looking for? Any sort of dissidence whatsoever, they're gonna turn on you. And, like, at the very worst, they may try and dox you, possibly even make you, like, lose your job, drive you to suicide. Like, I've heard stories of this happening where just someone who had, like, the differing opinion from the outrage mob would literally get doxed, pretty much have these out-of-context things they wrote on the internet just used against them to have them fired from their jobs, and that could possibly just lead them to drive them to suicide. Yeah, what else can I say? Cancel culture has claimed at least 2 people recently? No, probably more than that. Okay, I know there's Alakaloka. There was also someone else who, like, was recently claimed by cancel culture. So yeah, Alakaloka, false accusations from Zoe Quinn, false rape accusations, but the problem is, if enough people believe a lie, then the lie becomes real. So let me just say this before I end the stream. Well, not before I end the stream, I'm still probably going to stay around for 10 more minutes or so, but let me just say, truly, it is a terrifying power to make a lie real. And then I just went off on some tangent about SJWs. Can I really do something for Makina like my master did for me? And then I go off on some tangent. Yeah, if enough people believe in a lie, and enough effort is just put in place to pretty much prevent the truth from being, like, spoken of, then the lie becomes real. So just for an example, imagine that you are, like, part of this completely controlled by a government society. Imagine everything is dictated by the government. Imagine something out of George Orwell's 1984, where the government literally controls every single facet of life. They even control your thoughts. For example, 2 plus 2 they say is 5, but just count, like, the 2 fingers on each of my hands. You'll know it's 4. How can 2 plus 2 not be 4? Count my fingers. 2 on each hand. 2 on the left, 2 on the right, that's 4. So how can it be 5? So yeah. How many fingers am I holding up, everybody? How many fingers am I holding up? I'm holding up 4. Not 5, not 6. You don't have to try to look to see 5 or 6. You just have to know that it's 4. But what if, let's just say what if, you were brought up in this environment where you were never allowed to even believe or understand why 2 plus 2 made 4, and you just have to go along with whatever the government said, and that it was 5, and then maybe some days it was 6, maybe some days it was 3. Just what if? I know that's an extreme example. It's pretty much like the extreme example George Orwell was using in 1984, his novel about totalitarian government. But, like, that's the kind of thing about making a lie real that I just want to, like, try and get the point across. Of course, I go with an example that will probably never be made real. Like, I don't think anyone will ever be able to convince you 2 plus 2 is 5. There's no problem, because I'm usually can't do everything well, but there's nothing you can't do at all. So yeah, if enough people believe you actually did rape someone even though you didn't, it doesn't matter what you say. What matters is what everyone else around you thinks. It can be false, but if enough people believe it, then it has to be true to some extent. Because you don't know that it's not true. You simply don't know. You simply only know what is said, not what actually is. Because I'm not Alakaloka. I wouldn't have known for sure that he was in fact innocent. Like, there was no allegations against him. Like, he never did anything wrong. I wouldn't know for sure, but either way, cancel culture killed Alakaloka. It killed him. Like, cancel culture kills people. What else can I say? Outrage mobs Radical leftists, they kill people. Of course, radical rightists also do. Always, they also have, but far leftists do too. And if I'm not good at something, I can just take the time to improve. I'm not half bad at that sort of sober effort. Finally reaching this conclusion. I realized I've been standing still in the hallway for some time, lost in thought. I glanced at the watch on my wrist. The time's 16:57, so 4:57 p.m., right? When 5 in the afternoon approaches, I still can't help but think, which direction was the flag again? Old habits really do die hard. I casually look out the window with a wry smile on my face. Only to find my classmates approaching the school gate with hoes and small shovels in their hands. Ah, right, it was gardening class. By nurturing something, you gain confidence in yourself. Taking on a moderate responsibility that leads to the visible fruits of your labor helps encourage independence. On top of which, you're making useful contributions to society. That's the general idea behind the horticulture lesson at Makina Academy. Of course, we're raising broadly competent individuals with exposure to everything from information technology to agriculture. It's also a nice line for the brochures. Yeah, well, I was also thinking about cancel culture, because I just went off on this tangent, because it just somehow was similar to how Makina's father had differing interests from the rest of the mob, and then the mob just pretty much killed him over it. Like, he just had differing ideas. He didn't want to be corrupt, and then he literally got punished for it. He died at the hands of the mob. Definitely sounds like outrage culture to some extent, but definitely more organized and, like, more criminal. So yeah, there was actually also at one point this underground list of speedrunners, which was pretty much a list of this group. Well, a list that this group was compiling of people that this underground Discord server wanted to dox. The group was always referred to as Trigger. Last I heard, they weren't actually around. They're not actually around anymore. They were operating in 2017, but this was a secret Discord group known as Trigger, probably composed of far leftists who supported Antifa, who quite literally made a list of people they deemed to be like... what's the word? I lost my train of thought. A list of people they deemed to have, like, disagreeable values. People they wanted to quote-unquote cure. And there was one person on the cured section of their list, and that means that person is dead. So in other words, they made a list of people, and they actually wanted to drive these people to suicide. One of them actually died, but it had nothing to do with this group. He just died of cystic fibrosis, if I recall correctly. The person that died. So this group didn't actually kill anyone, but they were certainly trying to. And they were pretty much trying to kill people over political differences. And this was a group that was directly in the speedrunning community. Also had, like, quite a few members of it regularly attend GDQs, and a bunch of them not getting banned. GDQs being Games Done Quick, like the largest speedrunning marathon in the speedrunning community. And some of those people literally wanted you dead, whether or not you knew it. Like, just imagine going to, like, the biggest speedrunning event, and the person next to you could possibly want you fucking dead if you just so happen to have, like, differing political opinions from them. Like, that was the reality we could have been living in, but thankfully this group no longer operates. This was back in 2017. They've disbanded since then, from what I've heard. They've already finished up their lesson at the farm we borrowed for the purpose, and all that's left now is putting away the tools. A little strange for me to join this late in the game. Still, I make my way toward the front entrance. Hey Makina, just you? Oh, where you been, Papa? Had a minor errand to take care of. I went to see Chizuru. Oh, gotcha. Well, guess that makes sense. Gotta stick some stuff in Chizu's sewage pipe every once in a while, or it'll get all blocked up, right? Appreciate your efforts. Yeah, also, quite a few prominent speedrunners were on that hit list. R. White Goose was on it, WQQQQWRT was on it. I don't remember if Apollo was on the list or not. Yeah, in other words, people who espouse nationalist views, right-wing views, conservative views, They could have easily ended up on this kill list. Amani's over there if you need her. Makina points behind her, indicating a red tractor that's making its way toward a storage building on the edge of the school grounds. A white towel rolled around her neck and a big straw hat on her head. Amane laughs merrily in the driver's seat and smoothly shifts gears from tortoise to hare. That sort of thing really suits her, doesn't it? Amane loves the heck out of anything with an engine and wheels. So what happened to the others? Yumi-chan wrote up a report for today and went to turn it into the teacher. So yeah, sorry I went off on this huge tangent that had nothing to do with the game whatsoever. But, yeah. I just hate cancel culture. And more people should too. That's pretty much every conflict in general. There's just a disagreement, and sometimes it gets way too violent for pretty much anyone's good. And basically everyone suffers. What's with the girl's pathological bad luck? Must have been a real monster in her past life. Well, whatever. Where's Sachi? Sachin's over yonder! Sachi, her back turned to us, seems to be vigorously washing her hands in a nearby water fountain. In main uniform, as always. What are these noises she's making? Girl's washing her hands like crazy for some reason. She got that whatchamacallit disorder, or what? OCD. It won't come out! It won't come out! The girl obstinately continues scrubbing away at her hands, quietly mumbling lines that wouldn't be out of place in some low-budget horror movie. Can't deny it's a vaguely blood-curdling little scene. For some reason, just listening to her voice makes it sound weirdly sexual in a way. Maybe just a little too sensitive? Nah, it ain't just you! I believe I overheard some rather improper whispers concerning me? Well, we were just wondering why you're washing your hands so frantically, I guess. My hands rather reeked of wood vinegar after the lesson, and the smell didn't want to come out. I see. Sachi holds out her hands to demonstrate. There's still a faint scent reminiscent of burned lumber lingering on her skin. Sachi is such a slutty maid, she could even make washing her hands look obscene! Sachi, my friend, feel free to flip out. Kazami-san, if given the choice between a normal maid and a slutty maid, I assume you would prefer the latter, yes? Indeed. A slutty maid would definitely be nicer to have around the place. Then it's alright. I accept my slutty maid status. Seriously? Okay then, I'm the slutty daughter! Do you even know what you're saying? Shaking my head as Makina cackles innocently. I happen to glance down and notice that she's got a single plant in a plain clay pot sitting at her feet. What's that thing? Apple! Elephant! Trumpet. Wait, what are we playing, the word chain game? I think not. So guess what? The teacher gave us an apple seedling today. I'm gonna plant it. An apple seedling, huh? Isn't raising an apple tree actually difficult? It's certainly not easy, but the one Magi-chan's going to plant is supposedly a self-fruitful variety that can be fertilized by its own pollen. Comparatively speaking, it shouldn't require too much attention. It might be a teensy ankle bite of a sapling now, but in a few years it'll be overflowing with bright red apples. Eat them raw. Sure. Make a jam? You bet. Fill a pie? Hell yeah! I can't stop grinning from just imagining it. Once it bears some fruit, I'll let you have some too, Papa. Honestly, I want the more interesting dark stuff to come up. Now we're talking about growing apple trees. I guess from someone who's played a lot of action games more so than just visual novels, I'm way more interested in the dark stuff than, like, the discussions about planting apple trees. Was the class fun? You betcha! I love me some mud wrestling! Mud wrestling? I believe she's simply referring to playing with dirt. For a city girl, Magi-chan is remarkably comfortable in the field. If you leave her alone, she'll spend hours messing around and shrieking happily. Papa! Mud wrestling feels so good! Squishy, sticky mud. Churn it up. Make me a soaking, sloppy mess. Mud me up good. But not that much. I'll break. Oh. Okay, I get that you love mud, but that just now was really cutting it close in a lot of ways. No, maybe overline it entirely? And cut it out with the oh ho, you sound like a constipated yak. Incidentally, I also enjoyed gardening class very much, and had a great deal of fun today. That's good. Something wrong? Smiling brightly and saying nothing, Sachi thrusts out her cranium in my direction. What's this supposed to be? She's asking me to pet her head, I guess? I don't entirely understand, but... To me, it feels like Sachi might have the worst backstory considering it impacted her personality to never disobey a single order. Well, how are we going to beat Makina's? Then again, we still have 4 more backstories to look at, so there's still a good chance we're going to get something that was even more ugly than just the Makina's backstory. So still a good chance we're going to get something even darker than watching your father's corpse decay for 6 whole days straight. Just like I did for Makina, I grab hold of Sachi's head, stick my fingers between her hair, and scratch away vigorously. Apparently it tickles more than the girl I'd expected, as she responds uncharacteristically with a high-pitched little squeal. I had fun too, you know? Whoa, all of a sudden the Mani's popped out of thin air, while doing a slightly grating imitation of Makina's voice. She pokes her head forward at me just like the others. What the hell is this? Don't tell me someone's been spreading rumors about the mystical power of my head pats to improve grades or something. When a woman this massive thrusts her head at me, it almost feels like I'm being charged by a water buffalo. But judging it wisest not to express this thought, I simply reach out for Amane's head, pushing my fingers through her mane. I firmly scrape my fingernails against her scalp. No way! This feels crazy good! Might make a habit out of this! So ridiculous. You're not going to get any smarter from this, you know. And don't say no, damn it. Yuki? Keys? Where are you going? Classes are over for the day. I'm going back to the dorm. Wait up, Papa! Let's go back together! Theory on Amane's backstory. Based on what you saw. I'm just gonna go ahead and say feel free to take a guess. As if I can walk while dragging the swarm of women behind me. Give me a damn break. What was that? Nothing. Talking to myself. Goodness gracious. What a hopeless tsundere we have here. This coming from the guy who pulls Makina around by the hand with a simpering grin on his face when they're alone? Seriously? The tsundere is the duality after all. Switching to dairy mode when all alone is most likely standard procedure. Well good for him. Hey Makina, come here. I'll hold your hand. Yeah, thanks! I like to think I've gotten used to this place by now, but when I'm faced with this strange sort of female solidarity, you know, the whole group bathroom visit kind of thing, I'll have to admit I still don't entirely fit in. Forming a tight clump, the girls conduct a whispered conversation of some sort. All I make out is some cryptic mutterings along the lines of I guess Sakaki's the only one left to go. Only a few minutes ago. I boasted that there's nothing I can't do, but there definitely are things I'm never going to be particularly good at. Even so, maybe there will come a day when I'll look back on this and be sincerely thankful I had something like this in my life. Maybe. Okay, now we're going back to the schoolyard. On the way back from my morning run, I hear a cuckoo sing in our courtyard. This will sound crazy, but I think she was involved with the death of one of Yuji's family members, and that's why she felt the need to apologize like she has talked about. Well, only time will tell. We'll see eventually. Yeah, we'll just see eventually, but I still have Makina's route to get through. I'm likely just gonna do Michiru's next anyways. I mean, when it comes to my favorite Grisaia character, it's honestly gotta be a toss-up between Makina and Michiru, personally, for me. So Michiru's probably coming after Makina, most likely. Considering she never met him but felt the need to apologize. Yeah, we'll have to see.